Oh, man. Can you believe this didn't make the Gene Hackman in memoriam reel at the Oscars?
Oh, man, I don't know. When he was whistling Mozart, I thought he deserved maybe an Oscar for this bad boy.
On the Chain Gang, you like seeing Lex? How about Lex Luthor with hair?
Yeah, that's weird.
I didn't care for it.
I didn't care for Gene Hackman as the Lex Luthor character at all, but I don't know. Was he there all 4 movies, or is it just for this one?
He took number 3 off, and then they decided to blow the budget to bring him back for this one. I don't know if it paid off, frankly. But that's what we got.
I got excited when I saw his name in the credits. I guess that's something.
You got confused when you saw his name in the credits.
That's true. Excited
Gene
is not
Hackman.
the right word. Yeah.
That's fine. It's all 2 sides of the same coin. Welcome to Bad Movies and Beer. I'm Cooper.
And I'm Nolan.
And today, as promised, we are discussing Superman 4, The Quest for Peace.
You know what the crazy part is we don't get there, baby. This quest has failed.
It's kind of a glass is half empty way of looking at it, I feel. I prefer to think of Superman just taking a live and let live attitude rather than, well, you can't strong arm them into peace, then he's no better than
everyone else.
Yeah, everyone else. Lex Luthor, Nuclear Man, that old guy who tries to take over the Daily Planet. You can't just strong arm your way into control.
I guess that is the message of this movie.
Yeah, and here to help us break down that message is probably someone who's overqualified to appear on our podcast.
Yeah, definitely.
Our friend Mark is here. Now, Mark, please correct me if I'm wrong, but you are you have P.H.D., a doctorate in international relations.
Yeah, and I got a master's in Superman.
I was going to say, yes. I have referred to you in the past as a DC apologist, so I can't wait to see how you're going to try to justify this horse shit. You are also a university professor who has taught a class on conspiracy theories. And if you believe the conspiracy theory about this movie, it's that Christopher Reeve essentially strong-armed this nuclear arms subplot in as the only condition on which he would return. Is that true?
Yeah, that's the one theory that I teach in my class is true.
You've not actually.
It's the only one that you're like, okay, guys.
Well, that and Bigfoot, yeah.
That and Bigfoot, they're the two that are, yeah.
The moon landing, we touch on that in this movie. Where are you at on the moon landing?
There's some evidence there in the movie. This proves the moon landing, I think, was legit. Because you see the flag.
If nothing else, we've accomplished that, yeah. All right, fair enough, man. Well, I'm looking forward to hear you break this down from both a DC fan and a geopolitical expert point of view.
Yeah, long-time listener, first-time caller, so thanks for having me.
Oh, man, thanks for being here. We appreciate it. And hopefully you will also enjoy the beer that we have chosen to pair up with the movie today. This one, I feel, we're on a string of like slam dunks lately, and this is another one. What do we got today, Noel?
We are drinking Super Sunset. This is a beer from Slake Brewing Company. They're out of Prince Edward County. Another excellent craft brewery from that area. This is like, I don't know, the Niagara of wine for Ontario. It's the place you got to go for beer. Prince Edward County has so many amazing craft breweries. You can pick up some of their stuff in the LCBOs if you're in Ontario, but maybe you can look them up and buy some of their stuff online. If you're in Ontario, you certainly can.
Super Sunset, that's a great name for this movie.
Well, that's it. We got to make the connection, right? So Superman, obviously, and Sunset.
This was the sunset for the Superman film franchise and for Canon Films. Sadly, R.I.P. to one of our favorites.
There's also at least 6 or 8 shots of sunsets or sunrises in this
movie. The
sun
sun does play a very prominent role for sure.
Our supervillain is birthed there, and he's sort of taken out when the sun is pulled away. So all of this is an appropriate connection. I'm hoping it will taste better than our movie was for enjoyability.
You're hoping it'll leave a better taste in your mouth?
Yeah, I like that one. It says pale ale, fruity, and soft.
Yeah, I'm hoping that because it's a pale ale and not an IPA that I will enjoy this.
Although you had positive things to say about our IPA 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, I did enjoy it. I don't understand why. That's 2 in a row.
Something is transforming inside of you.
We'll see.
Hopefully it's going to bring peace to the world.
Why don't we crack it open to find out right now, man? Let's do it. So we just start right in the opening credits here. Like no preamble at all, which kind of surprised me, but what the hell. This is a Canon Group Incorporated production, and their name is Front and Center for Better or Worse. It's worse. I don't know why I included better there. It's just terrible. Once this wraps up, we get a Russian satellite floating through space. One of the astronauts is having a grand old time repairing something on the hull, blissfully unaware that as he sings a song to himself, a piece of debris is hurtling towards him, and that piece of debris will knock him off the satellite and spiraling towards what will surely be a slow, agonizing death as he floats through space. Or will he?
Well, we know the answer is no. We, of course, see Superman come flying through space to grab onto that satellite and slow it down. Superman is an alien, not really from Earth. He does seem to be fairly pro-American, though. I think that's written into the context.
Because he's saving Russians? Wouldn't that be like the opposite?
No, but I mean, in context, Superman grew up in America, pro-American, and this seems like a bit of diplomacy to me when he's out there saving the Russians.
Yeah, he also speaks to them in Russian, so really just a man of the world.
He speaks through the darkness of space to them.
Is that not possible? Oh, I guess no, yeah, no one in space, no one can hear you scream.
Or speak Russian.
Well,
yeah, all of the space kind of science, or for the most part, most of it is pretty questionable in this movie.
Oh, yeah, fuck, we get a bad one later.
You can't worry about that as we go through this.
Yeah, if we're trying to focus on any of the physics in this film, it would not be watchable, right? We would have shut it off right away. But so we get our very first sort of scene of Superman saving the day, and we know there's going to be lots more of those. Having not seen the other three, this would have been nice to have a bit of an intro for me to see if they're connected. Do I need to know anything about the other three to enjoy this one?
I think you get it pretty much right away when his mom starts talking on the voiceover, don't you?
Well, they do a little bit of fill-in for us via the Kryptonian voiceover for sure. Did you notice that when he flies in here, we get 3 shots of him flying in, and it's the exact same fucking shot. Each one, same angle, same approach, everything.
Canon ran into a bit of a budget issue on this one.
This is what tanked their studio. They invested in this, and like partway through filming had to start yanking money out, and you can see it in the visual effects that we'll get to later. It's very noticeable, the scenes where they had the budget and the scenes where they don't, and this is one of those budget scenes. So
yeah, Canon to me always seemed like big visuals, mostly like realistic explosions and effects in their film, and we're gonna get some of those in a couple of the like big battle scenes. But you're right, they really struggled on sort of the digital effects that would have made this really interesting.
This is it's exactly the kind of production you would expect at parts throughout this movie. You can see they're swinging big here, but it was not to be, sadly. Anyway, with arguably the best action sequence of the movie out of the way, we cut to the old Kent family farm. Much like the Superman movie franchise, it's seen better days, and as Clark Kent contemplates the future of his childhood home, he decides to look back to the past via the ship that delivered him to Earth as a baby and a glowing green rod within. A voice recording from his mother tells him and us,
"Placed aboard this vessel is an energy module. All that remains of a once powerful civilization. Krypton, your mother planet. It is my last gift to you. Once removed, the ship will grow cold and silent, and you will be finally alone."
He's not going to be alone in a minute, though, as a quote-unquote big developer is approaching the farm with a pitch for him, figuratively and literally, it turns out.
This is such a weird scene. I know they're giving us a little bit of backstory here with the capsule. We know he flew down to Earth from his planet when it was sort of being destroyed, right? But what's weird to me is that this weird energy crystal, once he takes it out of there, he loses the rest of the message and they're all gone. And it's just that it has some energy to sort of restore life to a planet. It sounds like it could save another planet, and maybe he needs to use it to save Earth, and then it doesn't become a part of the plot.
It absolutely does. This whole thing is just set up for him to be able to come back to life at the end. They don't mention this rod at all in any of the earlier movies. It's just thrown in as a contrivance to get us across the finish line.
Just so that he can get back his energy after he gets harmed by the villain of this film. Yeah, you know.
No, I'm just kidding.
The way that they pitch it, I feel like, was that it was going to be used to save a planet, but I guess he saves himself and in essence saves the Earth.
It was super unclear. And I'll share, like, when I was a kid and watched this movie, and I watched it again and again, I was always confused whether this glowing green thing was kryptonite or not, and why it wasn't making him sick. And
yeah, why pick the color green? Go with something else.
It looks exactly like kryptonite is depicted in other versions of Superman.
I bet it is the exact same prop from a previous movie.
Well, it looks like the clear one that like Brando has in the first Superman, only they decided to light it up green.
They couldn't afford Brando, and they couldn't afford a new prop.
They definitely couldn't afford Brando. That's for goddamn sure. Anyway, after hearing this old guy's pitch and pretending to be too uncoordinated to hit a 15-mile-an-hour curveball, Clark Kent politely declines the guy's offer, then winds up and smashes the baseball into outer space after he leaves, which absolutely would not have happened. This thing would have either exploded into a fine mist or burst into flames or something long before it escaped Earth's atmosphere. Although we did say it would have been hilarious if it had then knocked that same Russian astronaut off the satellite from before.
Yeah, that was a missed opportunity. If you're going to throw all the science out the window, at least put a little slapstick in there to have it bounce off the Russian orbiting satellite or place on there. That would have been pretty funny. What I'm learning about Superman here is that he's unwilling to let a big development take over his family farm. Only true farmers could take it over. They're really kind of building up his down-to-earth credentials here. He is an alien, yet somehow he believes in the small important things of America.
This is the age of the corporate takeover, I think, and that's a plot that comes up later on throughout the movie.
They could have really nailed that home by having the developer guy be Japanese or something.
I think this was actually a childhood family friend who's a real estate agent, and I think Clark is saying,
he's a middleman.
Don't sell to a developer.
The Japanese are putting him up as a front. Yeah.
Because he has that nice scene where he goes over to the baby's crib with those huge, gashes in it and says, your dad used to say that the baby kicked the crib and,
what a
destroyed
joker.
it.
How could a baby, yeah.
So I think it's a family friend, but he definitely is representing developers who want to build a mall in the middle of nowhere, I guess, or something.
You will believe that a baby can kick through a crib. Well, it's time for Lex Luthor to make his first appearance. He's working on a chain gang, like you mentioned earlier, and trying to teach the very rednecky guards about Mozart, when suddenly a convertible pulls up blaring rockabilly music. The driver is John Cryer for some reason, fucking Ducky from Pretty in Pink and Alan from 2.5 Men. And after asking for directions, he encourages the guards to take a seat in the convertible, try it out. But this is where we get the big reveal that John Cryer's character is actually Lenny Luthor, nephew of Gene Hackman's Lex, and there to help him escape. Which he does by trapping them in the car and driving it into a gorge via remote control. We get a massive explosion, but since this is a movie for children, I guess, we cut back to the smoldering wreckage that no man could have survived to see both guards crawling away intact. What the fuck, Cannon?
I did think it was interesting that in a Superman film, we were about to get a teenager murdering some guards to help his uncle escape. Of course, it's done in a super slapsticky way where he's in a convertible and then uses some strange remote control, something we don't even have now. It is a joke that they're both alive. There's no chance that either of them would have survived that fall. And I guess that is the, people can't die in this universe kind of thing.
Yeah, I don't understand why these two are alive. It makes no sense to me. You're like, we don't have this technology now. You know what else we don't have now? Lex Luthor fucking as our uncle. That's how he got the technology. Guy's a super genius.
Yeah, I guess so. But if he's such a super genius, how long was he on that chain gang for?
He was there for exactly as long as he needed to be. For all the wheels
to set it all
gears
up.
got to click into place, Nolan, as we're going to see later on. It's a very well laid out plan by him. Anyway, after a brief action scene / public transit advertisement, we get to the big subplot of the movie. Well, the first big subplot. Some rich guy is buying the Daily Planet. Or threatening to buy it or something. All I know is this guy's rich. He's got a hot daughter played by Mariel Hemingway, and he hates Superman. And for my money, this is where the death of print media really began.
Well, yeah, we have a hostile takeover is what's happening here. He's bought out 51% of the shares of this company, and he is also the owner of a whole bunch of tabloid media, and he's making money selling non-journalistic stuff. Just like you said, this is the end of print media right here. We hear from him that the Daily Planet has been losing money over the last 3 years. It's not being successful financially, so he's got to change things around, and that starts happening right away when he promotes his daughter to the boss of this place.
That's why you're saying that this is what print media does, the lady's in charge? Is that what you're
That is what I was insinuating. No, it was profits over journalism. We know this is all true. We would get our other friend on here to speak to you all day about this, and he would have some very good arguments. Friend of the show, Alex.
The guy who recommended Birdemic? I'm not sure anyone wants to hear from that fucking guy.
Not after making us watch that shit. Yeah,
oh, Jesus, man. I'll tell you one thing I know for sure. Lois Lane does not care for this new lady sniffing around Clark Kent.
I don't know how to tell you this. I just don't think he'd be attracted to somebody like you.
Don't be silly. All men like me. I'm very, very rich.
I mean, she's got a point. It's got,
It was a pretty funny line. I was most shocked at Lois Lane in this, not having seen any of the others. How long did it take to make these 4 movies? Because she has aged well beyond where I thought Lois Lane should be.
Yeah, this is the hard thing. It was the late 70s when they made the first one, and then she was Lois Lane throughout the 1980s in Hollywood. And yes, her health may not have been so strong.
I wasn't trying to sort of crap all over the actress.
Well, that's what you did. That's exactly what you did.
Well, she was hard on her body.
This
all
is
that
Maggie
cocaine
Gyllenhaal all
was,
over again. Whoa, allegedly.
Yeah.
No, this is Maggie Gyllenhaal all over again. This first you dump on her and whatever the fuck
I have
movie that was.
nothing. I have nothing against Maggie Gyllenhaal.
Nolan, if you haven't seen some of the other Superman movies, but there is a plot point, I think in Superman 2, where Superman's constantly getting after her to try to get healthy and stop smoking. Lois Lane was a big smoker, and sort of seeing Superman 4, like you're saying, where she looks like she's had some health problems.
So you're saying
did not take his message to heart.
Like,
Yeah,
wow.
and as we'll talk about, this sort of which woman does Superman love part of this movie is kind of awkward for that reason, because you're right, Superman was so in love with Lois Lane for all the other movies, but in this one it's kind of hard.
Hold on, he is in love with Lana Lang in Superman 3.
Oh, that's right.
He actively like ditches Lois Lane for her, and I think they like get married or something. He gives her a ring, and then this movie she's just fucking gone. Just glaze over.
This is why he makes out with Lois Lane and then makes her forget everything. There's
Well,
some weird shit that's happening in here that I don't understand related to relationships.
This is the nice thing about having a secret identity is you can date two women and they will never find out about each other.
Well, at the same time, apparently, and we're going to find out about that
that's the trick.
a little bit later.
You got to keep them in two separate locations. We'll get to it. Now, before we can finish wrapping our heads around all the possibilities of this subplot, we go right into our second big one, the rapidly escalating crisis that even that big summit couldn't solve. You know, that big summit about the crisis? You guys know what I'm talking about, right?
I don't think anybody watching this movie knew what you were talking about.
It was very vague.
I was so confused and asking questions to both of you as we're watching this. I was like, what crisis are they speaking about? Is this an arms race thing? It seems so weird the way they are vague about it here. It's like they didn't want to go into details because they didn't understand. A lot of my problems with this movie is because it's clear that the screenwriters had no fucking idea what they were talking about.
Wow, R.I.P. Christopher Reeve. You're just taking shots at everybody today. First, you're dumping on Margot Kidder, sweet Margot Kidder, who's been through a lot, and now you're pissing on Christopher Reeve's grave.
I'm just glad that Gene Hackman's all right.
Oh. Oh, God.
So the problem here is that the Superman movie is intended for children, so they can't swear or have nudity
or have guys die in a giant explosion.
People die in an explosion, or talk about the realities of nuclear proliferation at this time.
I think that's what the problem here is, right?
Wow,
It's trying to take on this huge topic that's so scary for all the adults and for all the older kids who know what's going on, but you can't actually teach people about what you should be scared of, which makes the movie hard to write.
And yet, one child has the answer.
Jeremy.
Yeah.
Jeremy has it all
Little
solved.
Jeremy, what do you think we can do about the crisis?
He doesn't even know what's going on.
I tell you who I'd write a letter to that would do some good.
Who, Santa Claus?
No, Superman.
Why the fuck does this kid sound like this? It looked and sounded like they dubbed his voice with a much, much deeper voice, and I have no idea why.
It is off-putting. Jeremy did not seem
off-putting.
Jeremy did not seem like a reliable character. I'm not sure if I was Superman and if I would take his advice. I'd probably tell him to drop dead or something.
Maybe that's why he writes him a letter. He's like, if I call Superman's gonna think I'm like some 45-year-old trucker. He won't believe that I'm an 8-year-old boy.
Thank God the Postal Service is still alive and well, right?
There you go. Oh no, God, this is all. All
of this is just an ominous.
This whole movie is a before
going
picture.
away. Yeah.
You're right. Superman didn't fix shit. None of these things are
This is
working.
what I'm telling you.
Oh God,
Where's the piece?
Meanwhile, at the Metropolis Science Center or something, Lex Luthor is hatching a plot of his own. He's going to build his own Superman by first stealing some of his genetic material, namely a strand of Superman's hair that is currently holding up a 1,000-pound Looney Tunes-esque weight. Now, you may be asking yourself how Lex Luthor is going to cut a strand of hair strong enough to support this massive weight, but you're forgetting that Lex Luthor is the smartest man alive. See, what he does is he heads to Home Depot and buys a set of bolt cutters, and that's it. He just snips it. I just gotta say it. Science.
Well, and the best part is this weight crashes a small way.
Oh fuck!
Through the case that's holding it, but
it doesn't even go through it. It just hits it stops dead.
Clearly would have went through it and probably made some pretty big damage to the floor, if not going through the floor.
Oh fuck!
And he says to Lemmy, the nephew, "You better stand back and actually go be on lookout." At this moment, as a kid, I was like, well, yeah, where is everybody? Where are the guards? What's going on?
We've just seen dozens of children.
Children.
Well,
Don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
So a convenience of canon plots is what we're learning about here, children, is that, if it needs to happen for the plot to continue, it will.
Don't worry about it is what the Canon Films owner said when the accountants came calling. How are we going to pay for this movie, guys? Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. After a tense scene at the Daily Planet where Lois Lane, Perry White, and Jimmy Olsen ponder the future of the paper as the rich guy runs headlines like Superman tells kid to drop dead, Superman himself zips over to the Fortress of Solitude to get some advice from his relatives. Not Marlon Brando, who, as we already mentioned, the Canyon Group could not have afforded to pay enough to be in this even before they had financial trouble. Instead, we hear from Superman's mom again, and like an uncle or something. Their advice is simple. Don't interfere. The humans must govern themselves. And as we'll see in a second, he's basically like, fuck that, but in the nicest way possible.
Yeah, this is the part where the kid gets brought to Metropolis by the big rich newspaper guy and put in front of the cameras and, said, tell people what you told me. And the kid says, I wish Superman would have said yes. So at this point, we're finding out Superman said, no, I'm not going to get rid of all the nuclear weapons.
Did he though? I think he just didn't respond to the kid's letter. I think he saw maybe he didn't see the fucking letter. No, the kid just didn't respond to the letter.
I'm pretty sure off camera, Superman at some point said, no, sorry, I can't do that.
Oh, okay. I was giving Superman the benefit of the doubt here.
Yeah, but then
maybe that was a mistake.
But you're right. You could be forgiven because the plot quickly turns on itself.
I think the key here is that the paper itself writes an article that tells the kid to drop dead. I was joking before when I said that, but they actually release a story, and that's the headline. It's drop dead, Jeremy.
Or Superman says.
Superman says drop dead, Jeremy, because he did not give him that confirmation. But we know Superman's not going to let that fly. He can't let that be the story that's out there. He needs to do something about this.
Yeah, how much do you think it was that front page paper that just made Superman go,
well, now I should definitely do it.
Ooh, maybe I should get involved.
I don't know, man. He seems to still be mulling it over in our next scene as Lois arrives at Clark Kent's apartment to pick him up for a dinner engagement. He seems practically despondent over the state of the world and what his place in it's going to be. And he goes so far as to stand up and just walk off the side of his balcony. The joke here, I guess, is that Lois thinks he's cracked up and is trying to kill himself.
And her.
Yes, he also kind of pulls her off. But really, he's just taking advantage of the opportunity to reintroduce himself to her. And speaking of taking advantage, how did you feel about him giving her a fucking roofie kiss at the end of this scene?
I mean, if it wasn't an established pattern in this series, maybe I could forgive it. But now this is like the second or maybe third time it's happened.
Yeah, he mind wipes a lot of ladies, including Lois herself in a previous one.
This is all fucked up to me. I'm asking a lot of questions as this scene is happening. One, Lois Lane comes in and I'm confused why they don't know each other. And then I find out it's because he's been kissing her and taking away her memories, which sounds like some kind of fucking Harry Potter shit, not something that Superman should be doing. He then picks her up and they go flying through the United States. They start off in Metropolis, which is just New York City, I guess.
Literally, the posters say New York City all over the set.
Lex Luthor's office is the Empire State Building. So we see the Statue of Liberty later.
Is this not an issue?
Don't worry about it.
That's basically what the Cannon Group is telling me.
If you ask too many questions, Christopher Reeve will come kiss you.
Oh, okay, and then I'll just forget them all. Okay, so it'll be like a Men in Black scenario too. Yeah, same kind of deal.
That's legit.
They end up in San Francisco. How that would have taken a while. They get
He's
back.
Superman,
I guess, but like, wouldn't flying that fast without any coverage or something like tear off their clothing, hurt her in some way? Like
hurt her? He fucking lets go of her.
He does. They're over the mountains and he just drops her
as a joke.
And he's like, "How did you like that?" And she's like,
I loved it. Not as much as being with you.
I needed to be with you too. You make me laugh.
This is the real tragedy for you, Nolan, because you haven't seen the first movies. In this part, when they're flying around the world, this is sort of a callback to the first one, where there's this really sort of nice scene where they go for a fly together, and it's really romantic. And with this awkward trip around the States, it's sort of trying to recapture that magic, but
it's not there.
Sitting along with you, not only am I thinking it doesn't recapture it, but for you, it's just awkward.
Yeah, it is weird and awkward that she doesn't know him.
And
she's
are they
kind
in
of having
love?
fun and flying. Well, it does seem like they're in love. Like that's the way the body language is going. And when they land and when they're about to kiss, she kind of remembers all the things from before, just before he can take them away from her again. Like, what a really sad life for both Superman and Lois Lane. Neither of them can have that reality.
It's like the end of The Notebook.
Kind of.
Yeah. So that Jeremy kid takes center stage in our next scene, well, him and Superman, who walks Jeremy into the UN where he's enthusiastically greeted before formally announcing to the world that he, Superman, will be ending the world's nuclear arms race. And how is he going to do this, you ask? By gathering up the world's nuclear missiles in a big net and throwing them into the sun.
This whole thing is fucking ridiculous. When he lands and asks Jeremy to go for a walk, First of all, Jeremy's busy ordering a hot dog. He doesn't even get it.
He just bails on the hot
He
dog.
just bails on the hot dog. That's sad. And then he walks him to the UN so that he has to listen to a boring speech. And I'm like, my goodness.
Where literally the entire United Nations is standing on the front balcony waiting for him to walk in. Like wearing all of their multicultural clothes, and everybody's like
They're definitely telegraphing that all of the nations are here.
Jeremy's here, you guys.
It's like a Coca-Cola commercial.
They do. They clap. You're right. It is very much like a bring a world together here. It is that very simple idea of like coexistence and everyone is happy. He gives the speech saying that Earth is his home too, and that he's going to stop all the nukes. And then, like Coop said, we get all of these shots of nations firing off their ballistic missiles. And I'm like, there's no way that a third of the countries who have nukes would agree to this. And you'd have the biggest argument ever deciding who had to get rid of theirs first.
But again, you're presupposing, you're thinking about this from the perspective of someone who does not live in a world with Superman. Superman is the answer to what you're talking about. He can just blow them all up if he wants to in a second. There's no fighting Superman.
But
That's
then
the whole
if
point.
he could have blown them all up in a second... Like, all the people you're saying.
I meant the nukes, but sure.
But then why did they have to fire them off into space so that he could
It's just more efficient.
a fucking hammer throw of them into the sun?
Well, no, I think about all those launch technicians, man. He's trying to, don't you want to eliminate jobs? What's the matter with you?
So he's supporting a difficult economy.
Exactly.
Don't worry. As soon as they get rid of the nuclear weapons, there's going to be tons of jobs in conventional war where all of the armies of the world would just start invading each other the minute after the nuclear weapons are gone.
Or tourism.
We do visit the Great Wall of China, sure.
Yeah. No, man, listen, as you said.
And you're right, there were no Chinese people there, so that's lots of tourism. Maybe that's what happened. Tourism's on, everybody.
Oh, man. People do seem pretty enthusiastic about Superman ridding the world of nukes, but you know who is not going to be happy about it besides Noel? A bunch of sketchy black market arms dealer characters who Lex Luthor assembles in his lavish penthouse. Let's see. We've got fat, sweaty guy, vaguely European guy with bowl cut, bushy handlebar mustache guy with accent, all the ones you'd expect.
It's straight up Bond villain territory.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
Of course, I assume all the nukes are gone now.
There's at least
one
left.
They're still rolling them out slowly for some reason.
Yeah, so they're kind of getting rid of them. They're not all gone, but the people who are most upset, of course, are the people who are profiting off of trading in nuclear warfare. So what's Lex's plan to keep these guys in business and help to also enrich himself?
He already said created like a makeshift Superman. That guy's going to like threaten the Earth or something, so he'll have to bring nukes
He's going to
back.
what?
He's going to create another Superman.
Oh, that was the plan from the museum.
Well,
I
from the
forgot
beginning.
about it already. There was so much stuff that happened in between.
That's why he needed that.
That's why he needed that pube.
ambiguous body hair. I didn't want to say
the genetic material.
Yeah.
I was kind of distracted at this point because his nephew was clearly dating Cyndi Lauper in the background of the shot.
The girl did kind of look like Cyndi Lauper. I don't know, man. All I know is this. Lex Luthor's makeshift laboratory is far less impressive than I would have expected, as is John Cryer's role in this movie.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that was fair. We're about to get into some terrible science here. The stuff they have set up to create this new superhuman is worse than the science we saw from Dorwinkle in our last movie.
Invisible Maniac?
Yeah.
It's not impressive, and he had no budget. Lex Luthor has a massive budget. Well, I mean, within the limitations of whatever Canon's dealing with. But however horseshit his setup is, it's enough to create this genetic concoction, which he will subsequently place into one of Superman's sun missiles, as they're still rolling those out, like we said. Now, to do this, though, he's going to have to pose as a general and sneak the box onto a military base. But this goes so well that it almost isn't even worth mentioning. Other than that weird radioactive sun fetus animation we get at the end, which transforms into something even more ridiculous.
Oh, this is so much. We get terrible science. We get them strapping what looks like a lunchbox filled with loose lunch meat to the side of a missile, taking over a missile launch, sending it to space where Superman catches it and physically throws it into the sun. Then we get a weird embryo / birthing moment where the sun sends out its semen creation thing and turns into Nuclear Man.
Fully clothed in nylon.
Oh, and the costume is amazing.
Glorious hair also. Please don't forget to mention his fantastically feathered 80s hair.
He looks like an amazing professional wrestler.
Like every German or Soviet enemy from every Rocky movie, every James Bond movie you've ever seen.
And yet also like he would have been the best American gladiator.
For sure.
Yeah.
So evil Superman emerges. His name is what? Nuclear Man?
As we find out in a moment, yes. Now, I mentioned ridiculous and things working out a minute ago. We get both in our next scene as Clark Kent pretends to clumsy his way through what I guess is an exercise date with Mariel Hemingway. I'm honestly not sure what the point of any of this is, other than to maybe add some alleged levity or to progress a romantic subplot. But like for me, you could have trimmed this whole scene and not missed a beat.
I actually wonder, now that I watch this as an older adult, there's a really great scene in Superman 2 where Superman loses his powers, gets beat up by a bully at a bar, and then about 45 minutes later, gets his powers back, goes back to the same bar, and uses his powers to really embarrass the bully. And I feel like they just tried to, again, recapture that magic by having Clark work out, look bad, having the gym guy coming over and sort of like elbow him out of the way because he's with the pretty girl, and embarrass him with those weights, and say, oh.
No pain, no gain?
Which I'll share is like one of the best, most memorable lines from this movie.
That's not saying much.
It's a pretty low bar, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
people,
this is it.
people joke this to each other.
I think
all the
you're
time.
right. This is a chance for Superman to be humbled and to sort of, in a sense, take the high road. It is definitely showing some further emergence of the relationship too, though. She is kind of falling for him here. She sees him as the like kind and thoughtful yet appropriate person, like, and coming
Who's
from
also still in really good shape.
yes,
That's
well,
the
yeah,
other
she
side
would
of
have,
it.
she would have not been okay.
Yeah,
if
she
he
says
wasn't.
that mean bully gym guy, like, oh, you know, he's kind of mean, like, and I never noticed that before until I sat here with Clark, who can't lift a weight or follow an instruction.
And is yet oddly ripped with like an 8-pack. And
Giant.
fucking-
6'8".
Massive muscles, yeah. No one put that together for some reason. It's the glasses, probably. Anyway, this is where we get to put a name with the handsome face and glorious hairy men in space a moment ago. Nuclear Man has come home to see his father, Lex Luthor. Only like all sons of a certain age, we see him clashing with the old man right away, trying to prove that he's strong enough to stand on his own 2 feet. He even roughs up John Cryer to prove that point, but he's whistling a different tune when the sun disappears behind a cloud. And by whistling a different tune, I mean crumpling into a heap and like smoking out of his asshole. So yeah, he's got weaknesses, is what I took away from the scene.
And it immediately depowers him. Like we're talking the sun or a cloud goes in front of the sun or the sun moves behind a wall and suddenly Nuclear Man is just collapsed 1 second later. Has no battery reserve. He's like a phone that's 10 years old or something.
This is an anti-solar technology ad right here is what this
yeah.
is. This is just working in some anti-solar.
There's a conspiracy for you, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like when puppeteers like relax the strings, he just crumples down. Which is ironic considering how much strings we see hanging off him later when they're having to fly around through some of the scenes. No, that's clearly his weakness now. We know it's the absence of sunlight. Speaking of weaknesses, I know at least 2 of the 3 of us had a big weakness for this next scene where Superman tries to date Lois Lane and Mariel Hemingway at the same time. Mark, you said it best. This is like a Three's Company episode. He's slipping in and out via the front door and balcony, getting caught up in various slapsticky moments along the way. And I don't know about you guys, but I was almost mad when Lex Luthor lures him away with a message about a bomb that only Superman can hear. I wanted to see how he's going to get out of this situation, man. Come on.
I think Superman was mad too. He literally says to Lex, come on, I've got things to do.
Yeah, I can think of 2 for sure.
Yeah, that ruined his threesome opportunity. He definitely was pissed off at that one.
But this scene
Force him.
This scene of
Or does it count as a
Him
foursome
and Clark
if you
Kent.
are
He'll
both
just be, yeah.
films?
it counts for double.
He'll roll under the bed on one side, come up the other side as Superman.
knowing these screenwriters, they might try it.
They would definitely try to pull that off. What happens if his dong is the same, though? What does he wear a cape on it when he's Superman?
Oh, he's got tiny glasses.
When he's Clark Kent, yeah, just wears goggles.
No, man, this is
So that scene as a kid was my favorite part. Like
It's
him
my favorite part
trying
as
to
an
date
adult.
2 women, trying to come up with hijinks. And I know there was that one part, Nolan, where he used his supervision to burn the goose or the turkey or something on purpose.
Yes.
So one of them has to go to the kitchen to check on it.
Then he can slip out the back door.
Every excuse to be able to go to the other side. He got trapped by a like person carrying baggage.
It was a
and
luggage cart, like one of those
jumped
push
on the
carts for
luggage cart
luggage,
and
yeah.
didn't make it into the elevator. It was really silly. It was a good laugh in this section. It was also that kind of awkward humor though that I find at some point uncomfortable. It
Yeah.
hadn't got there for me yet, but if it was like getting any further, I would almost have to walk away.
Right. I was starting to think, and I think I even asked you, Coop, whether he was going to come in half dressed by mistake, but I was thinking of
Yeah.
Chandler Bing from Friends.
Well, that
It's like
there's
the
been a
same
few
plot.
things that have used that, but that would have worked perfectly. Yeah, Superman's got the glasses on, or like, yeah, something like that. Wait a second, Clark. No, they don't do it, unfortunately. Lex Luthor ruins that shit. But after Superman brushes him off with the statement you mentioned about how he's got stuff to do, Lex Luthor finally unveils Nuclear Man in his full glory. And I don't know what I enjoyed more here. The fact that Superman connects the dots on what happened in about 10 seconds, or a drunken Lex Luthor putting his own spin on a famous Shakespeare quote.
Good night, sweet prince. Parting is inevitable.
Either way, if Superman thinks it'll be easy to put down a clone of himself, he's going to find out this cat has claws.
I hate the claws. They're so bad.
This is fucking long press-on silver nails.
Oh my God, they're really bad. I also hated how quickly Superman determined.
You didn't like that? I thought it was so funny.
It was so annoying that he knew immediately.
He literally says, I have to assume
that
you gathered my genetic material, put it on a nuclear weapon, and tricked me to throwing it into the sun.
Yeah.
And he said it in that like dry, not impressed, not like upset way. It was just perfectly like boring Superman.
Obviously.
Oh, Ponderook 4. Well played, Luthor.
So that part is kind of frustrating and annoying. And now we're about to get the battle. We're about to get Nuclear Man versus Superman. This is going to be epic, right? This is going to be the best thing I've seen.
I mean, words like battle and epic.
Best.
What do they even mean these days?
I would say that from one point of view, this is the best thing you're going to see. Because, like, I'll be honest, for me, this movie had been kind of dragging ass up to this point. Like, we're almost an hour into this 90-minute runtime, and kind of not a lot has happened. There's been a lot of talking and politics in that one dating scene, but, like, we get just full-blown, over-the-top, zany action now from them falling through what is clearly a pre-cut piece of balcony to their battle in space, Nuclear Man freezing Superman in ice, then blowing up a volcano, but Superman stopping the flow of lava of the volcano by blowing on it, then capping the volcano with the top of a mountain that he lasers off with his eyes. What did I miss here? There's more, right?
Oh, they also get the Statue of Liberty. And Nuclear Man grabs the Statue of Liberty and tries to throw it to the city of New York, and Superman catches that and saves the day on that one.
There's a great part where they destroy, I think, the Great Wall of China or some.
It's the Great Wall of China for sure.
And all these blocks come crumbling down. Superman, chases off the bad guy, but then uses a new power we've never seen before to like Minecraft rebuild every block, and it goes and the whole thing just sort of like without touching it, just rebuilds itself using some power out of his eyes.
It seemed like they just reversed the image.
Oh, 100%. They rewound the footage.
Yeah,
you're right.
He's
never had this power in the comics.
That's never happened before. No, this is all new. The volcano was ridiculous, right? Nuclear Man dove into it to light it off, and then when he cut the mountain off with his eyes and then threw it there, I was just laughing my ass off.
We also forgot to mention, all the stuff we just described happens in the span of like 5 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
it's not a long portion of this movie.
It's a montage practically.
I wish it were.
It doesn't rise to the level of like a prep montage.
Wasn't quite montage
it's
for me,
like,
but it would have been there.
No, but it is like short clip, like little vignettes.
While they're battling, we get back to the Statue of Liberty. And this is where it gets to a bit of a hand-to-hand thing here. And unfortunately for Superman, Nuclear Man scratches him with those cat claws.
Yeah, unfortunately, all of this culminates in just the lamest way possible.
Cat scratch fever. This is a real thing.
That's what it is.
Yeah, he's now like sweaty and he's lost his powers, or some of his powers are coming away. Whatever the radiation was in those claws, they seem to have affected him pretty strongly. And you know what? People think he's dead.
The rich guy buys his cape on an auction instantly and has it
right
away. The next morning.
Despite the fact that there's no internet and the cape landed on the site of the Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, gives it to his daughter, and then Lois Lane, storms into the office and you have no right to this, and takes it back.
Yeah, the rich dad's being an asshole. Lois Lane quits.
Clark
Lacey gets
MIA.
upset. Yeah, well, the old guy, the rich dad, wants to fire Clark because he's been missing, and Lacey misses him too. She really thought they were getting somewhere before he had to fly off during that date.
No, man, it's really strange that Clark Kent is missing at the same time Superman is again. No one puts it together, or do they? Lois Lane senses that something is wrong. She senses a lot of things, way more than anyone could reasonably expect, really. Not only does she show up to Clark Kent's suddenly shitty apartment, one that we have never seen before, but she fucking picks the lock with a credit card to come in and check on him. And she also brings along Superman's cape, just in case Superman needs it. And Clark can maybe get it to him or whatever. I don't know. Sounds like Superman wanted to check the potency of those roofies he slipped her earlier. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that kiss isn't holding its full power anymore. She's definitely holding some of that knowledge.
She's gained immunity. He's given her so many over the years. She's built a tolerance, and now it's not working anymore.
Now, this scene of Superman wrapped in a blanket, sort of sweating, feeling gross, sort of being at his most vulnerable, was like, had big impressions on me as a kid. It was like, this is just hopeless. How is he going to possibly get back? But this time was the first time I ever noticed that the claws that he got scratched with made him suddenly move to an apartment that has a giant neon sign that says bar that flashes every 2 seconds and lights up his entire apartment.
Yeah.
And it adds this like radioactive feel to this whole sickness scene that honestly is both terrible and awesome at the same time.
Just like Superman is struggling, I'm struggling here.
So you disagree this is not a good scene for you?
Well, it did not hit me in that same way, and maybe I'm having trouble because I hadn't seen the other three and I wasn't connected.
And you're 32 years older than Mark was when he saw
well, there's probably
Absolutely.
some of that too. Yeah.
Did you feel any better when he suddenly became a very old man?
Oh, fuck, dude.
I got confused through this section.
I was going to say, I mentioned potency a minute ago. After a quick scene where Lex Luthor takes a break from counting a massive pile of money to assume control of the nuclear arms company, we cut to the old Kent family farm where we see that Superman has lost all the potency that he once had. They've got Christopher Reeve done up in terrible old man makeup here, and with his rapidly declining health, we know he only has one play left. Pull the glowing rod from his Kryptonian ship and use the power to restore himself to glory, which he does in a physical sense, but we know he won't truly be back until he saves the people of Metropolis from Nuclear Man. Luckily, he knows exactly where to find him, huh?
The Daily Planet, I guess. He's going to be going after Lacey.
Naturally.
This is bonkers. He saw a picture of her in the newspaper, and he's like, I want her. She is mine now. And then he knew that she was there. And then Superman knew that he was going to go after her. So we get this standoff in front of the Daily Planet. And this scene, there's a lot that happens, and it actually seems like it's one of those scenes where they still had money.
Yes, this for sure was a big budget. There's explosions, there's fire, there's stuff fucking breaking and falling down, and extras running through the streets and screaming. This is by far where the most money went in this movie, not counting the salaries of Reeve, Hackman, and... no, that's probably it. Just Reeve and Hackman. Yeah.
John Williams, they had to pay him a bit.
They had to pay John Williams to use that,
so
for sure.
We have this silly scene, and it is kind of fun, and there is a lot of money that goes into it, but it just seems like they're in this very small sound stage. It doesn't have the epic feel of like the battles that are flying through the sky. But eventually, Superman is like, okay, that's enough. You've destroyed enough of the sound stage. I'm going to take you to her. And he brings them into the building.
Yeah, after their battle threatens to injure dozens of innocent civilians, Superman lures Nuclear Man inside before deciding to take things outside the Earth's atmosphere. So he traps him in an elevator and hurls him onto the moon like he threw those fucking missiles earlier. But unfortunately for Superman, he does not put him on the dark side of the moon where the sun would never reach him and he'd be trapped for all eternity. He puts him on a side that'll be getting hit with sunlight 30 seconds later. So this guy's just immediately free. And the combination of being this close to the sun, plus all the steroids that actor's on, is enough for him to put Superman in the ground, literally.
Yeah, what's curious to me here is Superman leaves him there in the elevator so he can walk over to the American flag on the moon and straighten it out.
That's right.
It had tilted a little bit over time and it needed to be replanted to be perfect. It's while he's doing this that he gets speared by the Nuclear Man.
Yeah, we go full WWE here.
Oh my God. This is the most professional wrestling scene I've seen in almost any movie ever. They are dropping elbows and knees and punching and flying into the air.
Double axe handle. He like body slams at one point, I think. There's a couple of suplexes. No, Nuclear Man does. He puts him down and he leaves him there in a hole on the moon before heading back to Earth because he's still smitten with Mariel Hemingway. But then he grabs her and pulls her up into space for reasons that I'm not entirely sure, where she would absolutely die in no time at all. Like, why is he bringing her to space?
I have no idea. She would have died upon leaving the atmosphere, right? She would have passed out well before there because of lack of oxygen.
But she doesn't die. Not even after Superman digs himself out of that hole and pushes the moon in front of the sun, depowering Nuclear Man and causing him to almost drop Mariel Hemingway to her death in space. She's hanging off his arm. There's no fucking gravity. How?
This whole thing is fucking ridiculous. The moving of the moon in front of the sun would have completely fucked Earth's gravity, right? Our oceans would have been a disaster. He would have just ruined the planet that he spent all of that time trying to save with that one move.
I love that you're arguing this because having not seen the other movies, you don't know that anytime he wants to, Superman can just fly really fast around the Earth, reversing its spin and thus turn back time.
What?
It's actually the key part of the first movie when Lois dies he brings her back by
Excuse me?
spinning the earth around in reverse.
It's the higher effort way of roofing Lois Lane. And it's where Cher got the idea for that song.
What?
Okay, that last part's not true, but the rest of it, I'm actually serious. The rest of it really happens. Anyway, with Nuclear Man successfully vanquished, all that's left for
What
him
do you mean
to
he's successfully vanquished? How?
Didn't he vanquish him?
No, we didn't talk about that.
Oh, all right.
After he loses power, he throws him into a nuclear reactor, powering the Earth.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. I'm sorry. And all the light bulbs click on, and America's back on top again.
And as well as the old publisher of the Daily Planet raises enough money to take back that hostile takeover.
That's right. And with Nuclear Man successfully vanquished, for real this time, all that's left for Superman to do is return Lex Luthor to prison where he belongs, which he does after another impassioned speech from Christopher Reeve.
We're still a young planet. What a brilliant future we could have. And there will be peace. There will be peace when the people of the world want it so badly that their governments will have no choice but to give it to them. I just wish you could all see the Earth the way that I see it. Because when you really look at it, it's just one world.
And when I say that speech was from Christopher Reeve, I mean it's literally him doing it, not the character. He's not Superman at this point. It's Christopher Reeve on a stage doing a fucking speech.
This is the point of the movie, I guess, right? This is why Christopher Reeve wanted to tell this story.
Yeah, I guess because it was basically throwing the blame on us for not standing up and standing up to governments who have nuclear arsenals and saying we don't want nukes is sort of the way that it came out. And I don't know if Reeves wrote it himself. It seemed like he did, but he didn't seem to have a great grasp on the influence of people in an actual like decision-making schema here.
Well, you don't think voting is important? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. I hate voting.
Man, you are coming with some real hot takes this episode. I don't know.
You're doing a good job lately in the season of putting words in my mouth and
that's what you literally just said. You're like, the people have no power.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying he oversimplified it. He basically put the blame on people and not on the governments that sort of decide where funding goes. And he is right in some way. We need to make it more known that if we don't want that, then we shouldn't be putting our funding there. But
this guy fucking backpedaling now, eh? Oh, he's making it known in some way.
What did you think?
Well, I kind of look at this movie and think, okay, what is he trying to say about nuclear weapons? What's the point? What should Superman do with nuclear weapons? And I'm not sure they ever actually decided. He like at one point says, nope, I can't get involved. Then he does it. It's not clear why he changes his mind.
I think this is part of the problem with why this movie sucks so much ass is because you are getting pulled in two different directions. There's like the people who are like, let's make a superhero movie where Superman fights a powerful being. And then you have Christopher Reeve in the corner being like, guys, I insist we need to work this nuclear plot in. And they're like, oh, right, we can tie this together, but they don't really do it.
I don't think it's clear, but I'm positive Christopher Reeve believes he's delivered the ultimate message to people in this film.
And that's
I agree.
The second biggest tragedy, I think, for Christopher Reeve.
That he thought he stuck the landing on this?
Yeah.
Well, you know.
Yeah. I mean, I love Christopher Reeve. I love the Superman movies. I won't hide it. I love this movie too. The certain part of me that's still,
an
8-year-old
I knew
kid,
it.
Right?
DC apologist.
But I have to admit, like when we're here to talk about the movie, about the plot, about the story, what it's trying to say, I don't know what it's trying to say.
Yeah, it really misses something in the landing for sure. And I don't know if the nuclear man himself, right? Like, the interesting part is he gets defeated and thrown and he becomes power. It's almost like them saying nuclear's good for energy, bad for war. And like, that's just where it ends.
Wow. I think that's a great point to go out on here. No, what I really think is that you two, with your socio-political backgrounds, may be looking at this a little more deeply than the common man who would just view this, see him straighten that American flag and be like, fuck yeah, we got it. It's a nice positive message.
Done it,
and not really think about the content of the message, but you two are looking at this through a political lens.
You know what? He did try to make it positive. It just didn't say anything.
Like all good politicians.
You know who really loses out in this?
The kids?
Jeremy.
The two women who are still waiting at that apartment for Superman to nail one or both of them.
All of the above.
That's pretty much the end of this one. We hit some credits that are noticeably lower quality than the ones at the beginning, and we're out. And I have to say, like, I honestly feel like as you watch this movie, you can just see them losing money as this thing goes along.
I'd be curious to see how the money was spent on this. It definitely didn't go to making sure that this story was cohesive and working well.
Story editing didn't...
yeah, that wasn't the focus, and I think that's the biggest grievance I have with this thing. It's hard for me, too, coming in on the fourth, what I assume is the worst of the four movies.
I think that's a pretty safe bet. 3's pretty bad also, but, like, there's some real lows here in terms of just general quality. And what a perfect time to transition to our ratings. We're about to hear all the things that we thought were horrible or particularly insulting about this. So the way we always do this, we rate the movie on a scale of 1 to 10 two times. 1 to 10 for how bad it is, 1 to 10 for how enjoyable. And the goal is to find movies that are a 10 out of 10 on both scales, or what we call the Crit 20. And I got to say, I'm kind of torn here between just going 10 for this on the horrible quality of the visual effects, the vaguely nonsensical story, the plot that leaves many threads dangling, the unclear message that we just spent time talking about, and the marked decline in quality from the previous Superman movies. But there are a couple of scenes here that are reasonably well done from an action and staging standpoint when they still had budget.
You're hedging.
I'm not going to go full 10 because there was a little bit in here that I thought was decent. So I'll go 9.
Are you just trying not to insult the fine folks at Canon Films?
I do. God love them. This was their death knell right here. So I don't want to piss on their grave. Is that what you're saying? No. No. I think I'm good with that. What do you think?
So for me, the most frustrating part was the story and the writing. It being my first Christopher Reeve Superman, while being aware of the Superman lore and universe, it was oftentimes confusing, not understanding why Lois Lane didn't understand who he was, particularly at this age they were at, not understanding that there was kisses that took away memories and all kinds of other crap. Some of the effects didn't have it for me. The green screen was a lot of the ropes were showing, a lot of the slow-mos weren't great. Costuming was hit and miss. There were times it was really good and other times I thought it was kind of weird. I did not have it as a 10 bad though. So that's not where I'm going to land on it. I do like the Superman story, and I do like that area. So for me, I'm excited to see it brought to a screen. Maybe not seeing the other ones, I can't compare it to something that was way better with the same actors. So maybe I don't have that. But I had it as an 8 bad.
Okay, so you feel like it accomplished something for a Superman fan.
Yeah, it still got him in space. It still checked that off. We still got the backstory. And when we get to my enjoyment, we can talk about some of the other stuff. But I guess we got to let Mark get to his bad rating here.
Well, I got to say first, when I was a kid, I would have given this a 0 bad. I would have said it was the best movie. It has everything. It has love. It has action. It has Nuclear Man. Fantastic. But looking at it again and watching, with a straight face, I got to say, probably I'd put it about a 7. There's a lot of campiness stuff here. I got to admit, there's lots of that's terrible, but there's a lot that's good. I like the acting.
A lot that's good, you say. I like the acting. Hang on. Who could be more specific? Who are you talking about here?
So
Reeve.
I love Christopher Reeve. The mean publishing guy coming to look up and mess up my beloved Daily Planet was pretty good. The Nuclear Man was always, for me, really creepy and scary, and I think he holds up as kind of hilarious and it's kind of fun for me. So I'd say 7 bad. This is a bad movie, but there are so many worse movies, and specifically as your DC apologist,
I was going to say you're really living up to that name now.
There are so many worse DC movies that I have to save some space for some of the other movies I cannot watch.
Well, it's not like 2 movies can't have the same bad rating. It's this is you can only have 110.
I know, but this is bad, but I can rewatch it.
All right, fair enough. But how enjoyable? You have to go first for this one. How enjoyable did you find the movie on a scale of 1 to 10?
So for me, I was really enticed by the nuclear weapons thing, as a kid, once again,
and even a political guy. Okay.
It has everything here for me. Even the kind of goofiness of the Three's Company part, the sort of dating 2 women, the sort of hostile takeover. There's a lot going on here, and part of it is just entertaining enough for me to watch. And when I rewatch it, when I'm sick on the couch, like Superman in that scene, this is one of my throw-on movies. It's bad, but I like it. So for me, it's a 7 good, totaling up to something I can watch on a rainy day.
I think that's a lot more acceptable to me than your rating for how bad this movie is. I get it. There are some pleasures here for sure, especially if you are a Superman fan, or just need something to put on that'll be vaguely entertaining in a harmless sense is how I would phrase it. Noel, what'd you think? How enjoyable on a scale of 1 to 10?
For me, I did laugh at chunks of this. There was some comedy, not where it was intended to be, I don't think, but at how slapsticky or ridiculous some of it was. I thought the fights were enjoyable in a laugh at them way as well. The plot, I like that it included the political aspects. I think it was probably a more interesting movie for me, because of the messed up things that Christopher Reeve wanted including. I don't think it made it a better Superman movie. In fact, it probably made it worse, but it might have increased my enjoyability having that like random trying to figure out how everything connects. Sometimes the movies that are more confusing when we watch them, the ones that I'm like, why the fuck did they make that choice, are ones that hold me better than the ones that are straightforward.
Yeah, we've talked about this. It like keeps you like engaged in a weird way because you are thinking about like how are they gonna fucking tie this together, and you're waiting to see kind of if they can pull it off. And as we said, they don't really do it in this movie.
No, they absolutely don't.
And that's the part that I like too, right? Like you just heard me criticize all the nuclear stuff, but at the same time, I love criticizing it.
You love the attempt.
It's kind of fun.
Yeah.
It's stupid. It's a popcorn movie, but I like the fact that it's there for me to say, well, this doesn't make any sense, and I can sort of do that pre-internet criticism
and
thing.
So I guess as a first view for me and someone trying to figure it all out, I would put this at a 7 enjoyable. Not off the charts for me, but not something I regret watching. I'd watch it again, maybe with my kids or something if they were interested in going through the franchise. I'm going to have to go backwards. I'm going to have to go 3, 2, 1 after this and finish with the cherry on top of hopefully the best one. But
yeah, man. Well, this is great, I think. This is a movie where he's talking about bringing the various people of the world together, and here's the three of us from vastly different political backgrounds, but we all enjoyed this movie the same amount. I also have it as a 7.
Wow.
Yeah,
Ooh.
I thought it was enough in here to put it on the good side of things for me for enjoyability. I mean, like I like some of the performances as well. Hackman, Nuclear Man is just fucking glorious. I don't know. He's a big dummy and like doesn't really accomplish much, but I'd say as a kid and even as an adult,
this
like I'm
is your
shooting the
love
lightning.
of professional wrestling coming
He's
through
got
right here.
Great fucking hair. That's a big thing for me. I love the scene with the 2 women. That was very enjoyable.
Of course you did.
We all enjoyed that scene. Don't put that shit on me. No, man, it's the same thing you're describing, Mark. Like it's a silly, good time where I don't have to think too much about it. I don't have to really invest too much. I can just throw it on, and it's only 90 minutes long, which is right in that sweet spot for me. I do not think, however, that we will have a similar enjoyment level for the beer that we drank tonight.
Ooh, no. Okay.
What do you guys think about this one?
Yeah, you know what? I didn't mind it. It was maybe it was the company, and maybe it's sort of like this kind of a flavor, this kind of pale ale. It's usually a big hit for me, and this one wasn't really an exception. I would gladly find this one again if I could.
Yeah, I think similar feelings. I would say it was pretty hazy, pretty hoppy, closer to the kind of IPAs that I like to drink. So for me, really crushable, something I would drink pretty frequently. Not super heavy on the alcohol, but has those flavors that I really enjoy from a hoppier, cloudier IPA.
Well, I am happy to report that I did not care for this beer because it was too hoppy. It was too much like an IPA. As soon as I opened it up and like I could smell it, I'm like, oh fuck. And I took one sip and I'm like, this is the kind of hop heavy IPA you've tried to make me drink on many occasions. I don't understand because it's low ABV. It's less than 5%. It's 4.6. It's listed as a pale ale. I don't get why this is so hoppy. I feel like they've tricked me. They pulled like a bait and switch. And I think I'm getting Superman, but instead I cracked the can and it's Nuclear Man.
Yeah,
and this is not my.
That's fair.
Not what I signed up for.
Enjoyable company, enjoyable movie, enjoyable beers.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Oh, thanks so much for being here. We appreciate you lending your geopolitical and DC Comics expertise. And it was nice that you found your way to apologizing for this piece of shit movie, which is exactly what I thought and hoped you would do.
Hey, you know what? I'm no longer going to say I'm sorry. I'm just going to say don't worry about it.
There we go. Guess back on where we were before. It's really great having you. Really appreciate it, Mark. And next episode is our final episode of the season. We are ending season 5. And I feel a little unfulfilled today. So I think that 2 weeks from today, we're going to end with a real superhero. I'm talking about Sylvester Stallone and a little movie called Demolition Man.
Wow. We're going there, are we?
Let's go big. Let's go big to end our 5th season.
Snipes, Sylvester Stallone,
Rob Schneider,
Sandra Bullock.
Sandra Bullock probably billed above Rob Schneider.
Yeah, I would think so. I
remember Rob Schneider being in the movie.
So I had never seen this Superman movie. Most of the movies we have
Dennis
watched on this
Leary.
podcast. I have seen Demolition Man at least half a dozen times.
Yeah, so we're going to talk Demolition Man in 2 weeks. Hopefully everyone will join us for that. Before then, if you haven't already, please follow us, the BMB Podcast, on Twitter and Instagram.
Send us emails, thebmbpodcast@gmail.com.
Absolutely. We'd love to hear from you, and we're taking requests right now for our season 6. So if you have a movie you want us to cover, send us a message. Let us know. Email or slide into the DMs, and we'll try and do that for you. Thank you for joining us today for Superman 4, The Quest for Peace. We really appreciate our guest, Mark, being in the studio with us. We hope you'll join us in 2 weeks' time for Demolition Man. Until then, I'm Cooper.
And I'm Nolan.
And we'll see you next time on Bad Movies and Beer.
Keep it super.
Flying through new danger.